September 2nd, 2021. I went to real estate school. I've never even heard of what they're airing tonight on the news. It has to do with, I guess, Fema, not just the United States of America. But it always confounds me how
Exclusive
this
and good news for Americans
other
who struggle to
side
prove
always
that they own
finds
their own
these things
homes.
out
New
when
federal
I have
rules
no
aim to
idea.
protect
I don't own a
families
home
whose
at
homes
this
and lands
point.
have been
All my
passed down for
loan
generations,
homes, I
often
had to buy with a
without
loan,
really
and then
being the
it got
top
taken
cause of
away
land loss
because I had
for
no
Black
job.
Americans in the U.S. Here's Dasha Burns.
In Bucksport, South Carolina, the battles are fought through faith and community. People here can trace their roots back to over a century of life.
Oh my God, they have faith in community down south? Because we don't have any of that where their ancestors are that came up north, just so you know. The shitbags that made it up north, they're a real disappointment to whatever this is displaying as honorable people. I know it's a 99 bottles of beer on the wall situation, so I try not to hold it against every person that I meet.
Of life on this land, which has been passed down generation to generation, often informally, without a will. The legal term for that is heirs property.
It's always called family land. It was only after post-flooding that we understood that had a legal ramification to it as well.
Bucksport is in an increasingly flood-prone region. Back-to-back hurricanes in recent years devastated the area, and in 2018, Hurricane Florence destroyed Hazel Bellamy's home.
Yeah, that's that water line from Florence.
She found out she lives on heirs property when she applied for FEMA aid.
They couldn't approve us for certain things. It was a nightmare.
Hazel's name is not on the deed. None of her living relatives are either.
Should I say what her people tell me? Well, at least you have a house over your head. At least you have a roof over your head. At least you have a room to sleep in. Might be moldy and damaged, but at least you have something. That is the dumbest fucking thing a human could say to another human in need. Assholes.
Either. That meant they couldn't prove the land was theirs according to long-standing FEMA funding requirements.
Heirs property owners can't get a mortgage, have limited to no access to housing repair money because you cannot prove clear ownership.
FEMA's new policy will change that by expanding the list of documentation they'll accept for individual assistance. But heirs property owners are still not in the clear.
At any moment, an heir could sell his or her share, which then makes
How? How do you find out if you're an heir or not? How do you find out which partnership or tenant in common you're part of? How does anybody find out any of these things? I'm just curious.
everybody vulnerable to having their property
It seems
lost.
like big developers know,
Their heirs,
and then they
kids,
stir this
grandkids,
shit up.
Great-grandkids and so on all own the land jointly as tenants in common. A property could end up with hundreds of part owners, and if just one of them decides to sell their share, that could result in the forced sale of the entire property below market value. About 60% of African American owned land is heirs property and vulnerable to land grabs. Bucksport, just 30 miles from Myrtle Beach, is a prime target for developers.
Development can be good and bad, but when you're in heirs property,
And here's a question. You know that in Africa there's white people. I mean, like, oh my God. In this version of America, which is North America, this seems to call itself an African American, and this seems to think it's what an African American is. It's not. There's a landlocked South America, Central America, North America, and a Canada somewhere. And then there's like a Latin America hybrid over South America. There's no such thing as an African American because they can't walk via like land bridge from the southern tip of South America to North America. There's no route via Africa. You need some form of a boat or an airplane, so therefore, ergo, it doesn't count.
it's definitely going to be a bad thing.
And it's not just a problem for Black Americans. It impacts the Native American community, people in Appalachia, and the Latino.
So this is sectioned as whatever color this is with no skin on it. This people in Appalachia are somewhere over here. I still don't see what my section is called. And then they had something over here called Native American. Again, it's in what I call a Look at this, it's my black and green umbrella. I march with it every day because I have a problem with the identity of human and American, since the people around me seem to have a problem with identifying themselves properly without whatever since I arrived.
No Latino colonias on the border.
Heirs property.
Latino colony. What could any of this have a significance on Earth to solar system, Milky Way to universe, at a galactic problem? I'm just curious. Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Nicole Cattaruzza, star 1978, star 8378.
Heirs property is an issue among low-income folk. Low-income folk do not sit around the dinner table.
What about no-income folk? Because I have no income. So I'm lower than low income at no income. Because I have low income arguments and they can't even get the ancestry proper.
Table and discuss estate planning.
And fixing it is often unaffordable.
I also heard that type of ancestry that was on here my entire life. They said that their people were never able to read or write. Got it. So what makes you think that the headstones are your ancestors then, if you weren't able to read or write? Why put a headstone on there? I'm just saying, like, why not a picture of some sort so you could recognize it without having to have huge levels of education? I mean, like, the whole entire human race is a bunch of liars. It's disgusting.
Hazel's family paid a lawyer $7,000 to update their deed.
And did it get you guys anywhere?
Nope, they wanted more money, and we couldn't afford it.
Lawyers,
Are you worried
right?
that
Yeah, it's not
you
like
might not be
Russian
able to
lawyers
protect this
where it's like
property?
science and
This
like
is
smart
our
people.
home.
This is
what
American law.
our parents
It
left
makes
us.
no fucking
This
sense.
is our heritage. This is where we belong.
Yeah, really?
Tasha Burns, NBC News, Bucksport, South Carolina.
At least they have community. They raped me of mine up here with their ancestors.
Condo collapse in Florida, but they say they heard and felt the seconds.